The stories presented in this video are real, but we have changed the characters' names and altered images to protect their identities. The creator of this video is not an investigative officer. These narratives have been sourced from various internet platforms. Our intent is not to accuse or target anyone in particular. Thank you for understanding.
Welcome to True Crime Stories Hub. Today we're going to examine yet another terrible situation. Alexandria Allie Costiel was Cindy and Keith's beloved daughter, born in St. Louis, Missouri, on September 11, 1997. Andrew was her brother. People were immediately drawn to Allie because of her warm nature and infectious grin. She was well-liked in her neighborhood because of her contagious happiness and capacity to put everyone at ease. Allie's vivacious personality was something that was noticeable from a young age. She had a natural talent for making people happy and infusing her surroundings with joy. Allie's joyful attitude was contagious, whether she was playing with friends, chatting with classmates, or spending time with her family. Allie's amiable disposition allowed her to establish connections with people from a wide range of backgrounds. Talking to someone she had never met before was something Allie never hesitated to do. Allie was renowned for her unshakable warmth and compassion in addition to her endearing demeanor. She was constantly ready to help anyone in need or just listen to them. Allie cheered and ran track while she was a student at Lindbergh High School. Allie made her best friend, Maddie Norris, at Lindbergh High School, and the two were inseparable. They were more than just acquaintances. They were pals. They were bonded like sisters. They had a strong emotional bond and an unshakable faith in one another. Maddie and Allie loved life and were always looking for new adventures and experiences. They overcame obstacles, shared laughter, and made lifelong memories together. Lazy days spent watching chick flicks while resting on the couch were another one of their favorite pastimes. Legally Blonde was their favorite movie, and they would watch it over and over again, always finding something new to laugh at and enjoy. They were always entertained by the characters' relatable traits and pleasant humor. Allie and Maddie experienced the excitement of the free road after Allie earned her driver's license. With the top down, they would frequently ride across town in Allie's convertible, enjoying the fresh summer air on their skin and the breeze in their hair. As their senior year drew near, Allie found themselves without a prom date. She hadn't had a significant partner or been in a relationship, but a couple of boys had asked her out. Disappointed, she contemplated not attending the event at all. But Maddie had an idea. Maddie was desperate to make things right because she understood how much Allie wanted to go to prom. She immediately offered to go on a date with Allie. Touched by her friend's generosity, Allie accepted Maddie's offer without hesitation. That evening, she wore a stunning red dress. Allie enthusiastically enrolled at Oxford, Mississippi's University of Mississippi, also known as Ole Miss, after graduating from high school. Allie had excitedly anticipated going to Ole Miss, which had always been her ideal school. Allie was drawn to Ole Miss because of its sizable student body and vibrant culture. Being a sports enthusiast, she especially valued the college's robust football program, which is renowned for its rich history and sense of community. Allie started her first year at the university in the fall of 2006, where she majored in business and marketing. Even though Ole Miss had many positive qualities, Allie was drawn to the school by one in particular. It had always been her ambition to meet a boy from the South, get married, and start a family. The Ole Miss grounds seemed like the ideal place for her to meet her future spouse. Allie took advantage of Ole Miss's opportunities as she started this new chapter in her life. She was able to engage with a wide range of individuals because of Ole Miss's size and sense of community. Allie enthusiastically engaged in all of the events and activities the institution had to offer because of the lively campus environment, which promoted a sense of belonging and camaraderie. Allie made the decision to join a sorority while she was a student at Ole Mississippi. Allie was one of the original members of Alpha Phi, her sorority. In addition, Allie served as the Ole Miss Golf Club president. Allie enjoyed Ole Miss's rich traditions, including the Ole Miss Rebels, the university's mascot, in addition to her studies. For Allie, going to Ole Miss was a period of friendship and personal development. Her warm and welcoming demeanor made it simple to interact with others, and her presence on campus soon established her as a familiar face. On the first day of freshman year, Allie's ability to move furniture about in her dorm room astonished Morgan Hull, one of her college pals. Morgan was in awe of Allie's incredible tenacity and resolve despite her diminutive size. Allie made another acquaintance, Eliza Brick, at an Ole Miss college party. As though they had known one another for years, they clicked right away when they first met. It felt as though Allie and Eliza were meant to be friends because of their intense bond. Allie had always been fascinated with sunsets. The shifting hues of the sky as the sun sank into the horizon had a captivating quality. Allie had a particular affection for pink out of all the hues that comprised a sunset. In addition to being her favorite color, it also gave her a sense of serenity and tranquility. The gentle, delicate shades of pink brought to mind the peace and beauty of the natural world. Because of her intense passion for sunsets, Allie went out to take as many breathtaking pictures of this natural occurrence as she could. Allie made an Instagram account specifically to display her collection of sunset images because she was determined to communicate with the world how much she appreciated the beauty all around her. Allie met Brandon Thiesfeld, a boy from Fort Worth, Texas, one evening at a pub in downtown Oxford. Allie fell in love with Brandon right away since she thought he was cute. He was asked to numerous sorority dances by her. Allie's affections for Brandon intensified with time. Brandon came from a Christian, caring household. His father, a well-known physician in Fort Worth, gave him a privileged upbringing. Brandon grew raised in a typical Texan environment. His favorite sports were soccer, fishing, and hunting. Brandon wanted to be included in any activity that took place outside. Allie's best friend, Maddie Norris, from St. Louis, Missouri, paid Allie a visit in Oxford, Mississippi, during a school vacation. Allie was always talking about Brandon, and Maddie was excited to meet him. However, Brandon never approached Maddie or showed up, so she never had the chance to meet him while she was at Oxford. Allie was greatly saddened by Brandon's actions since she had assumed that he would want to get to know her and her best friend. Seeing Allie's suffering, Maddie felt terrible for her friend. Despite her apparent pain, Allie remained strong and focused on making the most of her time at Ole Mississippi. Allie was having a great freshman year, both academically and socially, in spite of Brandon's behavior. She was having fun at college and had met friends. Allie and her parents, Cindy and Keith, were filled with joy and expectation in July 2019. The summer before Allie's final year at Ole Mississippi, Allie's parents made the decision to pay her a brief visit in Oxford as she got ready for her senior year of school. They wanted a glimpse of their daughter's academic life and to see her in her element. Allie also went to summer school and taught a fitness class that summer. Allie excitedly showed her parents her favorite places in town as soon as they arrived. She gave them a private tour of the campus, expressing her enthusiasm for the many structures and sites. Cindy and Keith were able to observe their daughter's development and celebrate her achievements. One evening, Cindy prepared her daughter's favorite dinner while her parents were visiting Allie. They bonded over delectable food and reminisced about bygone eras as they shared a special lunch. Allie and Cindy drove to a store and bought beachy home decor things for Allie's apartment because she loved everything beachy. They went shopping for a few hours to find pieces that would give Allie's living area a hint of coastal appeal. Everything from colorful throw cushions to beach-themed decorations was thoughtfully chosen to express Allie's passion for the beach. Allie pleaded with her parents to remain an extra day on the day they were scheduled to leave for St. Louis. Before they went, she wanted them to take advantage of more Oxford has to offer. Cindy and Keith ultimately decided to stay one additional day, despite the original intention. Allie's dad contacted at around 7 p.m. on July 19th, the day they were scheduled to return home. Groggy after just waking up from a nap, Allie answered the phone and told her mother that she was going out with her pals that night. Cindy told Allie she loved her and hung up without realizing the importance of the discussion. She had no idea that it would be her final conversation with her daughter. Sardis Lake, a large lake renowned for its hunting camps and leisure areas, is located 30 minutes outside of Oxford. To maintain security, the local sheriff's department patrols the sizable area. An officer was tasked with early morning patrol of Sardis Lake on June 20, 2019. Outside, it was completely dark, and there was a chilling sensation of desolation and loneliness. The officer saw something strange close to a picnic table while he was driving around the lake. When he looked more closely, he saw that he had come upon a horrifying scene. The body of a young woman with at least 9 gunshot wounds lay motionless on the floor. The officer was so shocked by what he discovered that he asked for assistance right away. More police and ambulance personnel showed up on the scene a few minutes later. As the backup officers arrived, they saw a purse in a nearby ditch. One of the officers approached it warily, intrigued. The officer opened the bag and found a wallet inside. This wallet had a driver's license bearing Alexandria Costiel's name and an Ole Miss student ID. Allie's parents, Cindy and Keith, had to be contacted after her body was found near Sardis Lake. But at the time, they were in St. Louis, far from their daughter. They therefore didn't anticipate getting a call in the middle of the night telling them that their daughter had been killed. Cindy had a really hard time processing this news. Like Allie's parents, Allie's friends were startled to learn that she had been murdered. As they recalled the lively and energetic girl Allie had always been, her absence left a hole in their hearts. Her friends used social media to voice their sorrow and call for justice after learning of this awful news. To raise awareness of their requests for justice, they came up with the hashtag #Justice for Allie. In their social media messages, Allie's friends reminisced about her and the positive influence she had on their lives. They wanted to pay respect to Allie's memory and offer her family their deepest sympathies with these moving tributes. Brashandra Kendricks, a close friend and recent Ole Miss graduate, voiced her sadness following Allie's murder. Brashandra, a recent graduate, was employed at the university in student housing. She said Allie had a great attitude and a contagious happiness. Brashandra claims that Allie's cheerful disposition was reflected in her constant smile. While working as a community desk assistant at Crosby Hall, the biggest residence hall on campus, Brashandra got to know Allie. Allie would visit and greet Brashandra whenever she was stationed there. Brashandra described Allie as a lovely girl who was savoring each moment and living life to the fullest. Following her murder, Allie's sorority issued a statement expressing their sorrow and grief over the loss of one of their members. Alpha Phi sorority expressed their sorrow at Allie Costiel's passing and their sincere condolences to her family during this extremely trying time. The sorority expressed their wish that the Alpha Phi sisters would find comfort. Allie's close friend from Ole Miss, Anna Pascal, recently expressed her deepest sympathies for her buddy's passing on her Facebook page. Anna highlighted the influence Allie had on the lives of those who were lucky enough to meet her, calling her the most sincere and positive person she had ever encountered. Emily Groh, a cheerleader for Lindbergh High School, expressed her horror and grief over Allie's murder on Twitter. She highlighted how brilliantly Allie shone with her upbeat attitude and called their time together on the cheerleading group an honor. Emily apologized for not having had the chance to spend more time getting to know Allie. Crime scene investigators found 11.40 caliber shot shells and multiple cans of White Claw seltzer strewn across the ground at the Sardis Lake crime site, where Allie's body was found. To examine the site and ascertain what transpired, a ballistic specialist was consulted. According to the expert's findings, the person who killed Allie was seated on the picnic table benches across from her when the initial shot was discharged. But after the initial shot was fired, the gunman got up and started to go around the table, approaching Allie as they went. The expert hypothesized that the gunman fired at Allie with each step they took toward her. The shooter fired one round, but it missed its target and lodged itself in the wooden picnic table. Allie's apartment was inspected by crime scene investigators in an attempt to find any evidence that may aid in identifying and catching her killer. Allie's Apple Watch was one of the things found during the inquiry. The police were unable to find Allie's phone at the crime site or in her apartment, though, in spite of this discovery. Strangely enough, though, her watch and some of her communications from the night before her murder mysteriously synchronized. When detectives examined the contents of these communications, they found that Allie had been conversing with Brandon Thiesfeld for a considerable amount of time. The messages made it clear that Allie and Brandon intended to get together. Early on Sunday, the day following Allie's death, the investigator working on her case made the decision to get in touch with Brandon. He asked Brandon to meet him at the police station so he could have an interview. Although Brandon was unable to see the investigator that day, he offered to do so at 8:30 a.m. the next day. But 8:30 a.m. arrived on Monday, but Brandon did not appear for the interview. The police began tracking Brandon's cell phone after he failed to appear for his scheduled interview at the police station about Allie's murder. Brandon's cell phone data indicated that he was traveling toward Memphis on Interstate 55. The police obtained an arrest warrant and issued a bolo for Brandon's car because they thought he was running away. Brandon's pickup was clearly recognizable because his car featured the distinctive tag, "Take it." The Memphis Fugitive Task Force discovered Brandon's vehicle at a gas station 2 hours after the bolo on him was made public. Brandon was seated at a petrol pump in the automobile. The task force's agents successfully apprehended Brandon and notified the Mississippi police. After searching Brandon's car, investigators discovered a .40 caliber firearm. In addition, Brandon had blood on his clothes when he got out of his car. Detectives started tracking Brandon's movements in the days before Allie was killed after he was detained and sent to Mississippi. Brandon went bowling and stayed with friends on Saturday, July 20th. But the next day, Brandon arrived at a friend's house carrying his .40 caliber gun and a six-pack of beer. When the friend woke up on Monday, Brandon was gone. Despite the fact that the two had spent some time talking while they were up, the friend informed the police. Brandon had no history of violence and had never been involved in any physical altercations, the police found during their inquiry. Allie's family members and Brandon's friends also provided information to the police, revealing that the couple had a casual relationship after meeting at a local Oxford bar during their freshman year. But by their sophomore year, everything started to go south. The way Allie felt about the connection changed, and her loved ones saw that she seemed more interested in it than Brandon. Because Allie would often go out and drink and call him, Brandon blocked her from reaching him, which ultimately caused conflict between the two. A year later, in the summer before Allie's senior year, Brandon and Allie got back in touch. They began seeing each other again after deciding to give their relationship another go. Brandon faced the death penalty after being charged with capital murder in the case of Allie's murder. The most serious criminal charge that may be brought against a person is capital murder. The state believes that Brandon abducted Allie when he enticed her to Sardis Lake, which is why these charges were brought. As the specifics of Allie's murder were extensively publicized, the news of Brandon's arrest rocked Oxford. Following Brandon's arrest, the community was engulfed in a flurry of gossip and conjecture. In order to interview and gather information from Allie and Brandon's closest friends and family, reporters descended upon the area. As foreigners watched with interest and worry, this media coverage brought both positive and negative attention to Oxford. Brandon entered a not guilty plea to the murder accusation in late September 2019. The detectives went back to examine the couple's text communications as they worked to strengthen their case against him. Through the text conversations that Allie and Brandon exchanged, the detectives learned that 3 months before to her murder, In April 2019, Allie was preparing for the spring semester finals and considering the potential that she was pregnant. Allie emailed Brandon a photo of an unreliable home pregnancy test on April 14th. When Allie messaged Brandon, he replied that they would wait to see if she was indeed pregnant. But if she was, he made it plain that they would not retain the child and that Allie could obtain a pill. Allie, though, thought differently about it. She said she wasn't sure if she wanted to end the pregnancy, but noted that she might find a partner who would love her and the child. Brandon insisted on his choice in spite of this, telling Allie that he was serious and that having a kid would destroy his life. At around 11:45 p.m., the police discovered CCTV footage showing Allie leaving a pub on Oxford Square. July 18th, Brandon picked Allie up about an hour later at 1:30 a.m., and he took them to Sardis Lake. Allie and Brandon had been drinking beer all day, according to Brandon's defense lawyers. According to Brandon's defense lawyer, they sat at a picnic table and enjoyed some music when they got to Sardis Lake. But eventually Brandon got up and went to his truck, where he took cocaine. He went back to his car, got out his .40 caliber gun, and strolled back to Allie. Across the lake, there was a shooting, according to Brandon's lawyer. After the incident, Brandon took a seat and continued talking to Allie. But after he shot her to death, everything changed drastically. The lawyer maintained that Brandon was under the effect of alcohol and narcotics, which is why he did what he did. Allie's family and the investigators, however, saw the incident differently. They thought that Brandon killed Allie because he had good grounds to assume that she was expecting a child and that this would have a bad effect on his life. They saw the murder as cold, planned, and premeditated. Brandon accepted a plea agreement with the state on August 27, 2021, which eliminated the possibility of the death penalty. Brandon was given a life sentence without the possibility of release after entering a guilty plea to first-degree murder. To show their support, Allie's family and friends gathered in the courtroom. Allie's favorite color was pink, so that's what they wore. The judge read the sentence, and Brandon then spoke to Allie's relatives. He apologized for what he had done and asked for their pardon. Brandon hoped they would find it in their hearts to forgive him, even though he knew the agony he had inflicted was incalculable. It was determined from Allie's post-mortem report that she was not pregnant when she was killed. That does not imply that Allie was never pregnant, though. Cindy, Allie's mother, believes Allie was pregnant and lost the child. The location where Allie was murdered, Sardis Lake, was marked by a temporary memorial built by her family and friends. Her parents, Cindy and Keith, hold on to their daughter's memories, but they are nonetheless troubled by the stillness. Allie is the first person that comes to mind when her friends see a pink sunset. They have devoted their life to preserving her memory, working to spread her light and make sure she will always be remembered.